Othniel oysters have been growing shellfish in Poole since 1985. We lease 100 acres of seabed from the Crown Estate Commissioners. The warm, plankton-rich waters of the harbour are perfect for growing top-quality shellfish. Our supply of seed oysters comes from a hatchery in Kent owned by Sea Salter Shellfish. The adult broodstock are induced to spawn, and after 2 weeks the resultant larvae turn into miniature oysters. For a further 6 weeks they're kept in warm water and carefully washed and graded as they grow. They're fed with cultured algae until they're big enough to be transferred to the outside nursery. They spend another 3 months in this facility till they're of a suitable size to move to the beach. Once the oysters reach a size of 6 mm, they need to be moved out of the nursery and into the sea. At this stage they're too small to be laid directly on the seabed, as crabs would eat them, so they're held in plastic mesh bags on trestles, which are placed in the intertidal zone. The oysters spend up to a year on the beach, and during this time they're regularly brought in to be cleaned and graded. Once they reach a size of 30 mm, they're transported to Poole. The seed is transported in bulk bins by overnight transport. We lay about 5 million seed a year, which gives us a harvest weight of between 300 and 400 tonnes. The oysters are washed onto marked plots at carefully monitored densities so they can be given optimum growing conditions. At 30 mm, they're big enough to cope with the rigours of life on the seabed. Because of their size, they'll be left alone by predators such as crabs or fish. They'll take 9 months to grow to harvest size. It's one thing to grow shellfish, but it's quite another to harvest them. Because we farm the same ground every year, we have to be very careful not to damage the substrate. Over the years, Othniel has developed a succession of eco-friendly harvesting machines, both for ourselves and other shellfish growers. What we have now is a machine that's extremely efficient and yet gentle on the environment. Water jets direct the oysters up a conveyor into the boat. The correct size shellfish is taken off the conveyor and the rest are returned unharmed to the seabed to be harvested later. As a company, we were environmentally aware quite a few years before it became fashionable. Actually, shellfish farming is about as sustainable as it gets. We source our seed from a hatchery, so we're not affecting wild stocks. The oysters only eat naturally occurring algae, so we're not adding food or additives to the water, and we use no chemicals to treat the oysters. Once the oysters have been harvested into baskets, they're held in storage cages on our floating factory until it's time to ship them out. On dispatch day, the cages of oysters are washed and the oysters are bagged and palleted according to the customer's requirements. We send pallets overnight to wholesalers all over the UK for delivery the next morning. We also send bulk consignments to France via the docks at Poole.